Hey, it's me, your grumpy, psychiatrically challenged mountain man up here in the Caribous with another weather forecast for you. Well, here's something that'll cheer you up. Maybe me too. This gloomy weather up here, it carries on sometimes in April. It's like the month that I find the most difficult actually in the year, generally financially, generally physically. Generally, with the weather and just, the roads are still all snowed up here, and you can't go ice fishing on the lakes now. You'll fall through in a lot of places. You know what I mean? So it's like it's that time of year where you're just kind of waiting for work season, And if you have a nice couple days like are coming into this weekend, then you can kind of go sit outside and say, hey, yeah, vitamin D, I could use a lot more of that. And, being at higher elevations here in the mountain, you might stay out for a little too long and get a sunburn with 18-degree afternoon or something like that. Oh, it's going to be glorious. It's going to be so nice. So let's talk about the good news for a change. Let's talk about the good news. I know I'm not the bearer of good news. It's like kind of contrary to my contrarian nature. But I got good news today. Okay, let's go. There it is. This is bad news.
My God.
Falling out right now.
Anything could happen.
Get on!
Wow. I'll watch the video later. They dry mopping this. If you could hit the likes and shares and subscribes and all that, keeps me alive, keeps me in business. All in all, just got some numbers back from YouTube, and in some ways, I'm balancing the budget here, so that's good. Thank you to everybody for watching, and thank you for everybody for chipping in, all the members and super donors and whatnot. You really got me through another month once again, of course, and can't thank you enough for that. It's scary sometimes just relying on the weather and the goodness of your heart and your willingness to talk to kind of like build business, which is what I'm doing here. It's not a business that... It's one that relies on people to click and share and subscribe. And sometimes when you have like months of winter as well, it's like people get tired of hearing winter storm, unless it's something fantastic, 50 centimeters, So it's coming out of the dead time and coming into my mountain man time where I'm going to start spending more time outside soon as snow gets melting, especially with this weather that's coming. This will increase the wildfire danger a little bit in places too, through places like the Caribou. So we do need to talk about that as well in this episode. So, I'm not saying that's bad news. It's good news. We got good weather. Okay, see it for what it is. Is there an outside risk that fire conditions are a little bit more favorable? Yeah, there is that. But, let's not get too nervous or too carried away. Spring fires often pop off in the dead grass and the dryness, but they don't often do a whole lot of damage, in the interior. The conditions and the weather generally don't support them being too active for too long, and there's a lot of resources available. So don't get me wrong, but you do need to know, because this is a channel that talks about fire danger. So, okay, let's start looking at some maps right now. So here's the good news and the good stuff. As we come into Wednesday morning, you still see it's cool. It's cool in the Rocky Mountains. It's cool in northern BC, even temperatures in the interior. If we zoomed in on this or went to a map that's more BC specific, I could show you. But I want to show you the general trend here as part of what's going on. So we have this high pressure that you can kind of see in the temperatures here, and we have this low pressure system up above there, and that's the Gulf of Alaska upper level low that's been kind of sitting there and breeding for a while. And its continued presence, the longer it can last out there, those sort of conditions in the North Pacific, the longer I think we're heading for instability, but maybe also some good rainfall totals through thunderstorm season. So, I haven't quite made up my final opinion yet on what fire season's going to be like, because we're in a neutral ENSO pattern right now, and I find that's harder to predict. It's not like we can just say, well, we're in La Nina. We're in El Nino. We didn't have much of a La Nina. So anyways, the conditions are cool in the morning, but we see the warming rise. Look at how warm everywhere else is. Ontario, gorgeous, all the way up into New York State, all the way up into Wisconsin, all the way up into Washington State. It's hot out there already in April. Don't tell me, look at this heat in Mexico. We're talking close to 40 degrees already. It's April, people. Are you telling me climate change isn't real? I just saw some alarming reports on parts per million and what's going on with carbon in the atmosphere now, with greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. It's really scary. And it seems like we're committed to doing nothing as a species. Look at how cold that is up in the north still, though. So cold air exists somewhere, as is the case, and likely will always be the case. It's the length of cold or the depth of it. We saw lots of this winter up north where it wasn't particularly cold up there. So now we're coming into Thursday. Look at that warmth suddenly building into British Columbia. Look at that warmth in through Alberta, through Saskatchewan, southern Ontario now roasting. Even Quebec starting to get some of that warmer weather. That is looking pretty nice. Vancouver Island getting pretty warm. Still that extreme cold up there in the north, and that's what's helping feed some really vicious blizzard conditions up there. So you have a warm, but you have cold up there. Well, if there's more warm to clash with the cold that's going to be living up there still. The sun isn't at its maximum height yet. The Arctic is cold, folks. It's cold. Even if it's not as cold as it used to be or as consistently as it used to be, it's still the Arctic, and it will be the Arctic for a long time to come. So you see an Arctic air mass up there trying to fight its way in. Friday, boom in warm conditions, BC. Yeah, people going to see the 20s? Possible. We'll find out here on the channel. And then Saturday, nice again, all the way across now into finally we're seeing warm weather for our friends in Manitoba. Make sure you click on Weather Center in Manitoba's videos if you ever see them, or go find them on the YouTube here. Justin, our good friend who's on our podcast every Thursday night. Make sure you join us for the podcast this Thursday night. It's Frankie McDonald's 41st birthday. Last week on the podcast, it was my birthday. This week is his. So we're 1 week apart, Frankie and I, and a couple years as well. Look at some of that hot weather, though. This is crazy how hot it is already into April. Look at the temperatures soaring in Florida. Look at the temperatures soaring in Texas. This is wild. This is wild stuff. Alberta going to be seeing warmer days than us consistently. For us in the us out here, it's going to do what it does in the Pacific eventually. But still not bad. Even next week, Tuesday, seeing some reds in there, pushing high teens and whatnot. Look at the heat, though, across into Ontario. Scorching. Unbelievable. Into the 30s maybe for Ontario. So this is giving you the larger picture, at least according to GFS long-range forecasting models. Looks like we're coming into warmer and warmer weather for BC. Even by May 1st, this warm pattern is going to be here to kind of stay around mostly. Look at that. If this happens, oh man, it'll be so nice. So we'll be losing quickly our snow in a lot of places like here in Wells. Wow, up into the Northwest Territories, seeing 25 degrees and higher. Unbelievable on May 3rd. Oh man, so is fire danger going to be a thing soon? Yeah, you can bet it is, right? You can bet it is. Look at those values. How long will it take for things to dry out? So corresponding to that temperature bump up, we're going to see the danger bump up for fires in BC, and already looking at somewhere in the 60 to 90 in the build-up index for the caribou. Now, this is for April 29th, so this is assuming we've gone through a couple warm days as forecast. And what does it say? Well, it's headed to May 1st, for example, and then we'll continue on here. We'll just look at build-up index for now. See what we get, Okay, so we're going to go ahead to May 5th. That's way out there. We'll go to May 4th. Way out there in the modeling. That's like way out there. But what do they say? They're showing fire danger into northern Alberta being now really high, with that BUI being up over 90. So we're running into 60 to 90 through a wider spread of the caribou. Seeing some red dots in there, actually. So greater than 90 spots in the interior. Here's some of the fire danger that we're going to be up against pretty early in the season, especially if this dry period kind of kicks in for any repeatable length of time. And even on through the prairie, that risk of grass fire is getting higher and higher and higher. Let's get more details yet. We'll look at a Canadian model on Windy here first. Trusty old Windy. You can download it yourself and follow along, even if you don't have the premium version like I do. Of course, this is a short-term model, high resolution though, so you can really see that it accounts for individual mountains out there and individual regions that are high country regions through the province. And you can see a lot of areas like here in Wells again. We'll probably get below zero tonight in Wells. Unfortunately, I don't think the conditions will be very good for seeing the northern lights tonight. The high pressure starting to take over, though. Maybe we'll see an improvement as we get in the next couple of days. I know there's still the chance that we could see some northern lights still on the days ahead. So, maybe we'll get our chance here in BC yet. Look at that, 16 for Kamloops on Wednesday afternoon, 13, 14 Quesnel, Williams Lake. It'll get warmer than that. That these numbers we're seeing will be on the low scale, actually. And that's as far as our modeling can take us right now on this one. So we'll have to go back to ECMWF European model here. And we'll just have a look we'll bump forward to Thursday afternoon at 2 o'clock. Now what do we see in here? Oh, better pause. 19 in Quesnel, 18 Williams Lake, Kamloops 19, Kelowna 18. Could that be warmer than Alberta side for at least a day or two? That will be nice for us. Salmon Arm looking at 16, Vernon at 18, Osoyoos probably hitting 20, Chilliwack 19. Well, we know on the other modeling on the GFS, we saw Chilliwack area kind of getting even warmer into Friday and then even Saturday. So will someone see 20s down there? Looks like we're going to see a bunch of 20s through the south interior. Kamloops 21, Kelowna, Penticton. So, of course, this is coming with drier air all the way up into the north. Seeing that through Prince George, 18. Grand Prairie, Fort St. John, 19s and 20s. Wow, look at that. Really warm up there. So they're taking warm weather quick. That's going to help dry things out. We'll bump ahead to Saturday now. Fort McMurray up to 20 degrees. Winnipeg now seeing 15s. Finally getting some warm weather even up to Thompson. Even Thompson, Manitoba seeing double digits on Friday and Saturday. Saturday 21s in southern BC. 21 for Kelowna. 20 in Vernon. 21 in Kamloops. Nakusp 17. Cranbrook hitting 18 though. Pretty nice. Invermere a little bit cooler at 15. Lillooet 17s. Some nice temperatures there. Some real nice temperatures. Coastal influence is moderating things a little bit there. So Port Alberni, Victoria, not nearly as warm on the Saturday as they were the day before. I'm sorry, okay? We'll jump ahead there till Sunday. Seeing still well into the double digits through the BC interior. Cooling off a little bit. And, Monday won't be quite as warm, I don't think, as it was on Saturday, for example. But still, those are pretty nice values, pretty nice digits. Well, if we're seeing 18s, 16s at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, that brings up the question of humidity. And we got to see what this is saying. So here we're talking now 29%, 29s through the interior, 25, 30. That's pretty low humidity values. So with any amount of wind, like we might see in some places. Well, I think the Chilcotin's a danger spot already. It's been dry out there. It's a danger zone for fire. Most certainly, it's where I expect to see maybe some of our first larger fires pick up is somewhere along that dry line after the dry air that descends after the mountains there. Got that downsloping effect there where things tend to be warmer and drier, of course, on the east side of the mountains. So even up far north, double digits into Fort Liard, 33% humidity. So we're starting to see the beginnings of fire weather pretty early on up in even the far north. Look at that dry air right to Thompson, across Meadow Lake, Fort McMurray. Early fire season conditions for Alberta. What are we talking about for humidity on to Tuesday still? Starts to improve for us in BC, but it's out there, the dry air. We won't go much further than that because now we're looking quite a ways out. But do you think that's going to increase the fire danger? Be reasonable. Of course it is. And we're going to see that increase as we come into the weekend, even seeing some higher locations. These aren't official Canadian Forest Fire Information System maps. No, this is assumptions made by Windy's own calculations. However, I've been finding over the years they're pretty good, at least at kind of getting the picture more or less correct. And look at that. We're seeing that fire danger up into northern Alberta, skipping into a little bit into BC. So that reminds us a lot of May 2023 when fires started kicking off in the Peace pretty early too. It was conditions much like this that had gone on for some time. And as soon as provincial drought monitoring goes on, if I don't catch it, you do before me, let me know in the comments. We'd be happy to know that provincial drought monitoring is beginning because I think that's really, really important. But yeah, this is some of the areas that they're seeing some drought intensity into BC already as we come into the weekend. It's like, well, the precipitation we should have had in April isn't showing up. So that's why it's going to start saying drought. Now, this isn't provincial statistics again, like I said, but this just gives you a clue as to where our fire danger is going to be, particularly if we have higher BUI, higher buildup index, higher drought conditions, and we have dry air, and we have warm afternoons in the sun. We're going to see that spring dip, they call it, possibly lead to more fire behavior and activity. So that's what I got for you today on the channel, everybody, regarding that. Can't wait for the Maple Leafs game in a couple hours' time. That's the one thing I'm completely stoked about, man. I am so stoked. I think this team's got a chance to do some damage. I'm not saying they go to the finals or nothing like that, but I think the identity's there and they're ready to compete. This isn't the same Leafs team you're used to seeing, and I think it'll be a fun playoffs to watch. Okay, well, that's me for today. Like, share, subscribe, okay? Bye.